This is the Korg Volca sample mk2, and we all know this little machine is great for house and techno, but really boombap? What is up, greedy guts? It's your boy Big Umami, and we're back with another episode of Will It, a series in which I pick one particular groove box and I try to figure out how good it is for one particular genre of music. So in this video I'll go through it making a full boom bap beat on the Korg Volca sample 2, and at the end of the video I'll give out votes from 1 to 10 to both sound and usability to determine whether the Volca sample is a good match for boom bap producers or not.
So, these are the samples that I'm working with. Let's lay the snare first. Then the kick. Let's live record some hats. I'm gonna add some kicks as well. Using the parameter lock function, I'm making some of these kick notes a bit quieter in order to emulate a ghost note. And you can lock any parameter at any step of the sequence by holding down the step you want to affect and moving the parameter you want to change. Let's change the kick sound to a deeper one. Let's also play around with some parameters on the snare sound. Alright, time for the main sample. I'm gonna tune this down straight away, and I'm holding funk to pitch it down chromatically, otherwise it will use a centesimal scale. Also, let's turn the volume way down. Okay, let's add some variation. Now, this might be looking a bit confusing, but what I'm doing is basically I'm using parameter lock to change the start point each time I trigger the sound. This way I'm emulating a sampler playing different slices at different points in the pattern. And it took many trials and errors, but I think I found a decent pattern now. I want this to have an AABB structure, so I'm gonna copy this pattern A to a new slot. And the drums are gonna stay the same, but I'm gonna change the sample up. So I delete the notes in the sample track and I'm adding some new ones. And let's work on new start points now. Great. Now let's listen to the two patterns together. Sounds pretty good to me. Let's work some more on these drums. I'm not convinced by these hats. Let's change the sample up with a different one. Also, let's add some more dynamics by changing the velocity of every other strike.
I just want to stop and say that all the sounds that you hear in this video are created completely from scratch by me and are copyright free. You can find the samples as well as the project files and many other resources on my brand new Patreon page. Click on the link in the description box below, please, and thank you. Also, if you don't like the subscription model, you can still support me by buying me a coffee on buymeacoffee.com/bigumami. The link is also in the description box below.
Let's have some bass now. I'm gonna write some notes in and change the pitch with the same parameter lock trick as I used before. Sounds pretty good. Okay, so it's basically smooth sailing from now on. All I need to do is to add some embellishment, like my trademark Big Umami chimes, and copy and paste some patterns around to build a song structure, and this is what I ended up with.
Alright, that sounds great. So let's move on to my favorite section, let's vote. So let's talk about sound. I really love how the Volca Sample 2 still has the same engine as the Volca Sample 1, which is a 12-bit mono sampling engine. You probably won't realize how crunchy it is until you actually compare it with another more modern sampler, but it really is a distinctive sound, very reminiscent of old school samplers like the Akai S950 or the EMU SP1200, etc, etc. And that's exactly the type of sound that you're looking for with boombap productions. Also, the analog low and high filters sound really good, and all the parameter knobs really let you sculpt the sound in so many ways. It's really great. So I'm gonna give the sound a big fat 9. And let's move on to the usability. Let's start with the positives here. Thank you, Korg gods. Thank you so much. You can finally use step-by-step parameter lock, which is an absolute godsend. Basically, this feature alone turned the Volca Sample from a glorified toy with the MK1 to basically a poor man's Digitact with the MK2. It's incredible. And that's because this feature allows you to create bass lines, melodic lines, as well as emulate some kind of slicing for your samples. Speaking of which, we talked about the good, let's talk about the bad now. There is still sadly no way to slice samples, and that's pretty bad if you're making boom bap, isn't it? And yes, you can work around it by parameter locking the start point, but as we saw in the tutorial, that's not necessarily the most straightforward way to make music, isn't it? Also, the sample exchange software thing, I mean, when I first saw the USB port on the new Volca sample, I was like, but then I tried to install the software and it won't work on my Mac. So I tried to install it on a Windows and it worked, and then it wouldn't load the samples onto the machine. So basically it wouldn't work. And I know many people for which it didn't work either, both for Mac and Windows. So sadly I had to revert to using volca, which is the SysEx software that allows you to send samples through the Syro stream. And with that you lose the ability to import all of the 200 slots as compared to the old 100 slot on the Volca sample 1. And also it's slowish because it's technology from the 80s. So because of the painful sample management on this machine, I gotta give the usability a score of 5, which brings us to an overall score of 7. Final verdict. The Volca sample 2, will it boom bap? Yes. Would you recommend it as a standalone to produce boom bap? Well, yes and no. Probably not to a beginner, because getting the samples into the machine and slicing them is an absolute tragedy. But if you're a intermediate to advanced producer and you're willing to jump through some hoops, this machine is a lot of fun, because the sequencer is a lot of fun, the parameters are a lot of fun, the parameter locking is amazing, and it's such a great new addition to the mk2. So yeah, all in all, I have fun producing boom bap on the Volca sample 2. So that's it for today. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel. If you like this series, there's some more videos that you can watch right here. Don't forget that you can find all of the samples used in this video in my Patreon page. If you don't like Patreon, you can donate to me with my BMC page. And what else? I don't know. I love you so much. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next week, probably from a hotel room, because I'll be traveling for work. Bye.